God, we come today to you and we thank you so much for all your blessings that you put on our lives, God. I pray that this word is spoken the way that you showed it to me, God. You push me to the side and you just use me for what you want said, Lord. And I thank you for all you do. In Jesus' name, amen. Welcome to this week's Midweek Motivation. And last week, we talked a little bit about Martha and Mary and the response to their brother Lazarus dying, and how that the response was different, and how that Jesus may look at your response and he may respond to your problem just based off how you act. So that's what we talked about last week, was Martha and Mary. This week, we're going to talk about Martha and Mary again. You've read stuff before, and when you read it, and really something jumps out at you and it gets a hold of you, and then you read it again, and you're like, man, there's more to this than what I just saw the first time. And that's exactly what I got out of this. We're in the same exact spot, the same passage, but there's more there to get a hold of, and something more that God showed me. But if you didn't watch last week, watch that one too. But if you didn't, go to John chapter 11, and we were going to start in verse 17. It's the same story, just a few different scriptures. But John chapter 11, verse 17, and we're going to go, after that, we'll go to verse 28. But here we go. Verse 17. When Jesus arrived at Bethany, he was told that Lazarus had already been in his grave for 4 days. Bethany was only a few miles down the road from Jerusalem, and many of the people had come to console Martha and Mary in their loss. When Martha got word that Jesus was coming, she went to meet him. But Mary stayed in the house. Martha said to Jesus, "Lord, if only you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that God will give you whatever you ask." Jesus told her, "Your brother will rise again." Now let's jump down to verse 28. Then she returned to Mary. This is Martha. She returned to Mary. She called Mary aside from the mourners and told her, "The teacher is here. He wants to see you." So Mary immediately went to him. Now, last week, like I said, we talked about the response that each of these women gave Jesus when they came face to face with the same exact problem. But what I really want to pick out right here is Mary stayed in the house. Mary stayed in the house. Martha didn't. Martha went to Jesus. Mary didn't. Mary chose to stay in the house with the mourners, with no one that could help her with her issue. But she was comfortable in that place in her life. She was comfortable with those people. She was there being consoled, being told it's going to be okay, it's all right. And none of these things were really, they weren't jumping out and that they weren't grabbing her. They weren't helping her. They weren't. But Martha, when she was faced with her problem, she knew that Jesus was coming. See, Jesus is always close, and we have to make a choice to go to him instead of staying close to our problems. Jesus, it says Bethany was a few miles down the road from Jerusalem. Just a few miles down the road from where this man, their brother, had passed away. He was just right there. He wasn't far the entire time. So Jesus is always close in your problem. He's right there. Whatever issue you face in your life, he's always close. But when he finally gets to Bethany, he finally gets there, then he becomes just outside the door. He's just outside. He's right there. So close. But Mary still chose to to stay in the house when the answer to her problem was right there beside of her the entire time? As Christians, we have to be a light to others by going to Jesus for our answers. Everything we face, we have to go to Him. Because when we do, when we choose to go to Him instead of picking worldly things to fill our voids, the problems that we have, because we all face things. I don't care who you are, you have an issue somewhere. You can look at somebody on TV, you can listen to somebody sing on the radio, talk on the radio, whatever. And you can have somebody in your life that you look up to. You have a mentor, and that's great. I think you should. Everybody should. But they still have issues. Everybody has problems. But when you watch that person, when you listen to that person, and when they come in contact with issues in their life, if they choose to go out and blow all their money to try to take care of their issue, thinking that that's going to make them feel better, or they choose to be in a bad relationship, that's a very easy thing to do. We think companionship with another person will solve our problems. It absolutely helps. But it's not going to take care of all your problems, because you can wind up in the wrong place with the wrong person. But see, when you choose Jesus, and all these people you're watching, you watch those people choose Jesus, they turn to Him for their issues, then you watch them and you see what happens, and you see how good things turn out. And even if things don't turn out exactly the way you think that they should in their mind, if that person still turns around in the heat of the moment, when it's thick and it's bad and everything doesn't look the way that you think it should, they still say, I know that God still has control of this situation. I know that when I come to Jesus and I ask Him, I have an issue, I know that God still answers prayers. I know that when I come to Jesus and I have my problem and He takes it to God, God does whatever Jesus asks. He gives him what he wants. It says it right here. Jesus told her, your brother will rise again. That's all we have to do. Jesus is right there. And when He says that to God, He says, listen, Travis has got this problem. He's got an issue. And he's begging. He needs you. And not only does he need you to fix this problem, not only for him, but so he can take this out and prove to people that you are the answer. That he can say, look what God done for me. Because I didn't turn to the worldly things. I turned to Him. And look at the way I've been blessed because of how that I chose Jesus in the heat of the moment in all my problems. But Mary stayed in the house with the mourners that could do nothing to help her. But when Martha heard that Jesus, the answer to her problem, was close, she left everyone and everything to go to Him. Because, what's it say? He was a few miles down the road. And many of the people had came to console Mary and Martha in their loss. When Martha got the word that Jesus was coming, she went to Him. She went to Him. Because she knew, I know these people are here for me. I know these people love me. And they want to be here for me. And I appreciate that so much. My sister's here. But they can't solve my problem. They're not going to fix my brother. They're not going to be there for me when I'm laying in bed at night and I'm freaking out because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my electric bill. Because I'm freaking out laying beside my spouse wondering if they still love me. If they're going to be there at the end of the day tomorrow. If they're going to leave me for somebody else. Those people are not going to be there for you during that time. When you're all alone and nobody can console you the way you really need it. Because you can always take a good word. People have good things to say and it's wonderful. You know, you love the encouragement that people bring to you. It's great. And a lot of it is, if you have godly men and women around you, a lot of that encouragement will come from God. They'll give a word to them to give it to you. But at the end of the day, no touch is like the one of Jesus. Nothing's going to give you comfort like that. So when you're near your problem, the problem is right here. Jesus is right here. Problem, Jesus. They're right beside each other the entire time. Because Jesus lives in us. So if our problem's here, Jesus is here. So He's never far away. He's always right against your issue. I said a lot of these things last week, but it's so true. When people around you see that you've made the choice to follow Jesus, and you turn to Him to solve your problems, and you show them what good things come, that becomes contagious. Because when you have somebody that is longing for something in their life, they feel empty, they have that void. Because if you don't have Jesus in your life, you'll always have an empty void. You can look and look and look and look your entire life. Take somebody that's 90 years old. They've searched their entire life and they've never found something. And you can find a child that's been raised in church and they know where their answer comes from. That child will have peace that 90-year-old person has been looking for their entire life. Because they've been trying to fill their void in their soul that cannot be filled but only by one person. That's the only true thing that will ever fill the void in your life. When things hurt, when pain comes, Jesus, it's something you really can't explain. I have people in my life that I try to explain things to, but I really have a hard time because it's something you have to experience it. I can't prove to anybody that God exists. I can show people miracles in my life. Well, that's just a coincidence. That wasn't from God. It's an experience that you have right here that you cannot show. You can't show it, but you know without a shadow of a doubt that it's true. It's real. Even if people don't follow you, though, even when you tell people in your life that Jesus has done this for me, it's all because of Him. Look at the blessings God's given me. Look at this peace God has given me through this anxiety in my life. All these issues. I think teenagers are some people that go through as much anxiety as anybody. I know parents go through a lot. People adult lives, we go through a lot of anxiety. But teenagers are really overlooked a lot of times, I think. Because there's so much peer pressure. There's so much there. There's so much riding on you feel like in your life that you've got to fit in. You have to do this, or you have to do that, or you have to dress this way, or you have to talk like that, or whatever. Hang out with this person, that person to fit in. And it's the wrong thing to chase after. It's worldly things. And when teenagers watch, they need somebody. We need some teenagers that turn to Jesus for their issues instead of whatever. Bad relationships. I think bad relationships are really a lot of the things that goes on in teenagers' minds. That's what went on in my mind a lot. It was girls all the time, and it would get the better of you a lot of times. But if you would have a group of teenagers that was turned to Him and say, look at what He's doing in my life, it would become contagious. You would have a movement and have some people that would really dig in and really try to spread that word and really stand on the answer that they got, who it was from. Because the answer that they got cannot come from a book. It cannot come from this book is the only one. This one's the only book. Not a relationship book that's only going to get you so far. But you have to turn to Jesus at the end of the day and have Him in your heart. And when you spread that, it spreads like wildfire. People can't help it. Their soul, it longs to be close to Jesus. It longs for an answer, a void to be filled in their life. And as Christians, we need to be a Martha. to the people in our lives and tell them that Jesus is just outside the door and He wants to be a part of their life. He's always there. And if we could ever really get people to get a hold of that, it will change lives. It will be a movement like you've never seen. And when Jesus does a miracle for us, we have to go back to the people that stayed in the house and tell them that Jesus wants to be a part of their life. And we need to tell them what He has done for us. That's the biggest thing. If you don't, over and over, it just keeps coming to me that we've got to stand on Jesus. We've got to stand on Him as our answer. You don't take what happens in your life for coincidence. You don't take it as, well, it just happened that way. It just, because I did this happened. Well, you may have done that, and it may have turned out this certain way. But when you have Jesus in your corner, and He is your sturdy rock that you've built the foundation of your life on, the things that you have will never go away. That's why you see so many people on TV or so many people on your phone that it's all fake. It's not real. They have all these things, but yet they still turn to drugs all the time. They can't have enough with money. They go through men and women just changing every day like they change clothes. And they never have any satisfaction in their life because they'll never get it. Because the void that they have in their life, they're filling it with the wrong things. But we have to show people how that Jesus changes our life. He can change you on the inside. That's what He does. But after He does that, you got to start walking the walk. You have to start showing people, this is what He done for me. And look, I'm confident in who I am because I know who I have in me. And it's changed everything about me. And it's become so contagious. When people see that Jesus have done for you, when people see what Jesus has done for you, that's when their spirit will long for the same connection that you have. And when they do that, when their spirit longs for that connection, then we can do what it says in verse 28. Then she returned to Mary. She called Mary aside. When you have an issue, your friend, your spouse, a loved one, whoever in your life has an issue, you call them to the side. You say, look, Jesus is right here. He's right outside your door. He's waiting for you to just ask Him for the answer. And when you do that, you pull that person to the side, then Mary, she called Mary aside from the mourners. When you get them away from all the things of this world, when you pull that person away from all the issues that they're facing in their life, when you pull them away from everybody that's trying to fill them full of the wrong thing, and it's not working, because it won't. You'll never truly have peace until you have Jesus. You may feel good for a moment, but it'll fade away. When you pull that person away, the teacher is here, and He wants to see you. So Mary immediately went to Him. She had stayed in the house. She had stayed close to her problem the entire time that Martha was outside talking to Jesus. While Jesus was consoling her, while Jesus was filling the void in her life, Martha was still trying to fill it with the world, and it wasn't working. And immediately when Martha came to her and said, Mary, He's here. He's waiting on you to come outside. He's right there. He's on the other side of this door. You got to open that door and grab a hold of Him, because He's right there and He's ready to take care of your problem. So she immediately went to them. And when Mary got a hold of this, when they both got a hold of it, look what happened in their life. Their brother was raised to life, and their miracle that they had been waiting for had finally come to pass. Because they got out of the house. Mary got out of the house. She got away from her issues, or she got away from the things in her life that wasn't solving her issue, and she chose Jesus. But that's the message for this week. Jesus is right outside the door. He's close to your problem, and he's always there. Just open the door. Just open the door, and he's right there. He'll fix everything you have problems with. But thank you for watching this week. Like it, share it, comment, tell me how that it has blessed you, and we will see you next week. God bless you.